What's up guys, it's Roger and welcome back to the channel. And today I want to talk about the Rapacious appetite and its place inside of the Destiny 2 sandbox in Crucible at the current moment. And that's because there's kind of a big problem, and the problem is called power creep. Now, we've all been knowing this has been happening for a while, but when they introduced Immortal, it's one of the biggest times we've started to see it. Now, you'll see in the gameplay today, just keep in mind, I will be using a build of the Graviton Lance right here, as you can see, and a Rapacious Appetite that I have crafted up. If you get that thing to level 15, you can get some really good perks on it that we are going to talk about throughout this video, so stay tuned if you want to hear about that. I'm going to be using some build probably next weekend for trials, because I got to keep showing this thing off to you guys. This gun is better than Immortal. And how is that a problem? Well, it's like we said before, the power creep. Bungie keeps creating better and better guns that keep outpacing the ones before them. But the problem with that is a lot of the guns they already have created are already kings. They're already top dogs, and they don't get nerfed. Instead of nerfing things nowadays, what they do is they just make the next best thing. And that's a big problem. Because when nothing is actually getting taken down a notch, then everything just keeps getting stronger and stronger. TTKs keep getting faster. Ranges on guns keep getting farther away when they should not be that far for that certain archetype. And I guess that's a good place we can start talking about. So a good Immortal Adept, right, will have around 20 meters of range, which can bump up a few extra meters when you take into account that it has target lock. Now, if you're like me, you hate everything about Immortal. The entire meta it's created, it fucking sucks. It's toxic as all hell, and here's the biggest problem with when they introduced Immortal. You guys remember a little SMG by the name of Teraba? Or as most of us call it when it would actually get us, killed, we'd go, oh, Terabra? Yeah, I remember that gun. I'm sure a lot of you do. It was a huge problem. Guess what they never did to Teraba? They never meaningfully nerfed it, right? They actually did give Teraba a little nerf, and it started to be like, okay, maybe that was good. It really wasn't. Teraba is still an amazing SMG right now. But then, what they did, instead of nerfing Teraba to a meaningful point to where it wasn't OP, they introduced Immortal. If you guys remember, when Immortal came out, holy hell, all hell broke loose that weekend in trials. You know, that thing, as soon as people got their hands on it, was shredding. And there's nothing you can do. It sucked, and we're still there right now. But immediately as soon as that gun came out, everyone's eyes were away from the Teraba. It's like when you got a super hot, like a supermodel in front of you, and you're just like, God, this lady is absolutely banging. But then, here comes Joaquin Phoenix walking around the corner, Keanu Reeves walking around the corner, whatever you want to put your little metaphor right here, and you're like, God damn, that's a much better looking supermodel right there. I think I'll get my eyes on that one. But they just keep giving us hotter and hotter guns to distract us from the fact that they're not actually fixing the ones that are currently broken. Now, we got Immortal to outpace Teraba, right? And now, I'm telling you, Rapacious Appetite is outpacing Immortal. Like we said before, around 20 meters of range, not counting the actual uptick from the actual range that can go higher than that once your target lock kicks in, is what you're going to get on your best Immortal Adept, right? That's great. On a God Roll Rapacious Appetite, which you can do very easily by simply crafting it and getting it to level 15, you can get over 22 meters of range. 22 meters of range on this Rapacious Appetite before target lock kicks in. That's absolutely insane. There's a big reason for that. Number one, target lock hasn't been nerfed yet. Why, you may ask me? I don't know. Probably because Bungie walks around with rocks in their fucking pockets, and they tripped the other day and it knocked them into their little skulls. Big problem right there, but that's what it seems like when they balance. Now, target lock is very good. They keep putting it on more and more guns, and they put it on this SMG. But we have to remember, it's not just regular target lock. You can get enhanced target lock. What you're seeing in the gameplay today is actually just regular target lock. I hadn't got enhanced on this thing yet. Now I do have it. I haven't got to test it out. But guess what? Enhanced target lock gives you more of a percentage damage increase on your actual target lock damage increase. So, just to put it into perspective for you guys, regular target lock is going to do 16% on its first tick. When you get one stack of that, it's going to be a 16% boost to your damage. Now, when you have the enhanced target lock, that's going to kick all the way up to an 18% buff. And remember, that's on 1 stack. If you get two stacks, usually it would be 23%. On enhanced target lock, it's all the way up to a 26% boost. That is absolutely insane. Now on top of that, we have basically max range on this Rapacious Appetite. So when you regularly craft it, I was at 73 range with the crafted Rapacious that I have. However, there's one really good perk that people don't really talk about. Now, I actually did a God roll review for the Rapacious Appetite on day 1 of the season, and my opinion has actually changed a little bit from that video after I've got a lot of time to use it. At first, I thought perpetual motion, right? That's the go-to. And you might be saying, what makes so good about the Immortal is that it has rangefinder. Make sure you remember, like I said earlier, Immortal will still have less range, even with rangefinder. But keep in mind as well, rangefinder is gonna get reworked, as is a lot of zoom and just range in general. In Destiny, it's gonna get reworked soon, and most likely nerfed. So you don't really even want rangefinder on a lot of your guns, just be safe, make sure you have other roles, and this is one of those other roles. So we don't even have rangefinder on Rapacious, and we're still outranging our Immortal. Great, but what do we have in the first column, you might be asking? Well, like I said before, perpetual motion, really good, can help you with the stability and whatnot, because we will talk about the stability on this gun later on. That's something that it actually lacks in. However, every other avenue this gun covers is extremely good. Now, what is the perk I'm talking about? Well, it's something called well-rounded. Now, if you don't know what well-rounded is, basically, when you throw a grenade, or hit somebody with a melee, or cast your super, because casting a super will give you 2 stacks, which is the amount of full stacks you can get on well-rounded, it's going to give you a boost in your range, in your stability, and in your handling. Now, that's going to be 10 range, 10 stability, and 10 handling for 15 seconds, because you threw 1 grenade. But that's just regular well-rounded, my friends. If you have enhanced well-rounded, that bonus, it was hard for me to get an exact number. It seems like nobody's done crazy good research to where it's super exact, but from what I've gathered, I think it's around 15 of a range boost each time you get well-rounded a stack. So let's think of it like this. We have 73 range on our based Rapacious. Look at this gameplay right now. I threw 1 nade, well-rounded proc for 15 seconds. So I just went from 73 range to 88 range. If I had 2 stacks, it would go to 98 range, I believe. Now, I don't know about you, or actually no, I think it would go over 100. Hey, I cheated in my math classes. The point is, you're basically maxing out, if not overcapping on range, just by getting these stacks of well-rounded. Now, there's so many exotics in the game that can give you easy nades, or just classes in the game that give you nades all the time. I'm actually pairing it right here in this gameplay with the Shinobu's Vow build with 100 discipline. So I'm just throwing nades like crazy. Every time I was going to go into an engagement, just like this, I throw in my nade, and then I go in with that stack of well-rounded, and I smoke the next enemy. Because that is what I want to talk about. So, of course, the best part of well-rounded is bumping your range up. That's what's really allowing us, apart from the actual being able to choose our mag option and our barrel option, the well-rounded is giving us that extra very, very nice range bump to put us to max range to let us outrange the Immortal Adept. However, target lock's doing that too, helping us even increase that usable distance. But then there's one bad part about Rapacious. And for the players that aren't as good with SMGs, or even controller players I want to mention, because it's going to be much harder on controller, this gun has basically no stability. And when I say basically no stability, I mean it has about like 6 with the way that I crafted it, and you can't craft it to have much more. I don't really know why they made it this way, but it just has a very low stability for an SMG. So that's something to keep in mind. While this gun can out-frag, can out-TTK, can outrange an Immortal Adept, it does lack in the stability department. So if you're not someone who can control your recoil very well, like I said, if you're a controller player, I know it's much harder for you guys to actually control your recoil, and stability is much more a stat that super matters for your controller players. I'm not saying you're bad, I'm just saying that's very much so a fact of the controller, you know? There's nothing you can do so much about that. That's why there's built-in things to controller plays, like reticle friction and whatnot, to help you guys out. But you can still probably use it if you're on controller. Give it a try at least, and let me know. I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments if that's something that you guys have tried out. How does it feel for you? Especially if you're like a top tier controller player, let me know how this gun is feeling for you on controller, because that's information that I would love to have. However, if you are a PC player on M&K, such as myself, then this is something that I highly recommend you use, especially if you're sick of the Immortal meta and you just want something that's going to out-frag it. This is your baby right here, especially if you're a player who is very good at landing your shots. You have good aim. This is going to be your next big SMG. And let's be honest, it's not going to get nerfed for a very long time, if ever, to be honest. Now, they nerfed aggressive frame SMGs across the board, but it didn't really matter in the slightest. Like I said, they haven't addressed target lock, you know? That's what's really making these guns crazy. The fact that this thing is craftable with target lock, and they didn't even touch it, and don't even get me started on the fact that they didn't even touch enhanced target lock, it gives you more damage increase. So the kills I'm getting, how fast these kills I'm getting with my SMG in the gameplay today, would be even faster with enhanced target lock. Keep that in mind. So hopefully you're starting to see just how this gun is absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand why they keep doing this to us. They keep going and being so scared to nerf anything. And instead, it creates this disgusting sandbox where everything just stays really good. But instead of just staying good on its own, they give us something better. And that's what power creep is. Where it's just like, ooh, I'm going to power creep you. I'm going to be stronger than you. And I'm stronger than you. Because if you're not stronger than that last thing, then nobody's going to want to use you. You know? Your ex might go, I mean, your girlfriend, you know, she might go back to her ex if she comes over to you and your schlonger's not longer than his, you know? All right, that's a bad metaphor. Listen to your heart. They'll like you for your heart, slugger. Go get them. That's not the point. Listen, this is a darn good gun. And I just had to bring this to your guys' attention because I feel like people are really not talking about this. Like I said, I made a video and a God roll review on this on day one. I've used it in a few other builds. On Endless Veil, the first trials weekend we had this season, I used it in one of my builds, and I was telling people then, this thing outfrags the Immortal, but I don't think anybody really listened too much. So I wanted to actually bring it to everyone's attention so people really are actually getting this through their heads. Because a lot of times, people only see things from bigger creators before they actually go ahead and listen. But I had to go ahead and bring the facts to you guys. You can go ahead and go on D2 Foundry or Dim or whatever the heck you want and look at the stats for yourself. Look at the fact that this thing is out fragging, that this is out ranging. It's a better gun. Now, of course, a lot of that can be personal opinion, and like anything, this is my opinion. But there are some facts that it does outrange, you know, that it will out TTK. It's just a better gun. But things like gun feel matter too. And that's why I was telling you earlier about the stability, because stability is a big factor in the gun feel. Even I, on M&K, like my guns to have good stability, but you know, it's not very easy on this thing. But like I said earlier, even with the well-rounded, it does help with your stability as well, because well-rounded does give you 10 stability, which is more like 15 stability on a enhanced well-rounded per stack. So right there, you look, I throw my nade, I blink up top here. Now if I use my SMG, actually I have 2 stacks right now. So that's going to be 30 plus right now on our SMG, and 30 plus I should say to range and stability on our SMG right there, which is just insane. Even with one single level of that well-rounded, it's going to go crazy. And for 15 seconds, mind you. That's another reason why I like this over Perpetual Motion, because Perpetual Motion, the second you stop moving, you know, the second your little happy feet stop dancing around, you're going to lose that buff. But on well-rounded, you don't really have to do anything. Once you proc it, it's going to maintain itself. And that's what you're looking for in a very, very good perk, and this one definitely takes the cake for me. I think it does take some more special builds that are more centered around either good melees or, like I said, grenades is mostly what you're going to be looking for. But if you can get a good grenade spam build, or just a good grenade cooldown build, where you always have a nade to kind of throw at your enemies before you go into battle, then this is going to be the absolute perfect gun for you. Like I said, make sure you're subscribed, because I'm very excited. I have a great build for this gun, and I'm excited to throw that together. I'm going to use it next weekend in trials, assuming that they give us a map that, you know, is usable for SMGs, because it seems like every time I make a fun build, Bungie's like, yeah, now we're going to give you the worst map possible for that exact type of build. And I'm like, okay, all right, I see what you're saying. But what if we don't for a second? What if we stop doing that? But anyways, tell me what you guys think. You know, I'd love to hear your opinions. If you actually just like this gun in general. I mean, we should also talk about the fact that this gun has awesome design. You can't go wrong with these Taken weapons. They look absolutely amazing. Oh, make sure, by the way, the ornament for this gun is in the Rapacious store right now. And even though it's an ornament, you do get to keep the actual taken on it. You see right now in the gameplay, I've actually had the ornament on this gun the entire time, but it keeps the taken effect on the gun even when you have the ornament on, and I thought that was really cool. That was something that I didn't know was actually going to work, so at first I didn't buy the ornament, and my friends let me know, yeah, the taken effect actually stays on, and you could use the new ornament. I was like, oh, well, that's amazing. So keep that in mind, and if you do want to use this gun, go ahead, buy the ornament in the Rapacious store right now. Just a little tip for you guys, because I know you like to look dripped up just like I do, and this is the way to do it, you know? You gotta get the ornament. You gotta be looking drippy. Look at this nice little nade down there, gets me well rounded. It makes me smack the guy in the background and then punch the guy in the booty cheek right in front of me. Ooh, nice little double down right there. Technically a triple down. Let me tie the round right there. And yeah, I mean, what can I say more so than I just really love this gun. And it's funny because I think I'll probably feel more scummy when more people start to know about it. But, you know, me using it, because I never used Immortal. I never used Immortal because it felt so scummy, and it was pretty scummy. But now that it actually has like something beating it, I guess I'm using it mostly because it makes me laugh a lot, honestly. It's so funny when someone walks at me with their Immortal, and I just like spit in their ass and shake their hand, wink them straight in the eye, and let them know who Papa is. Because this thing just kicks their ass. And then they're just like, but I was clutching my Immortal. And I'm like, yeah, guess what? There's a new sheriff in town. All right, his name is Sheriff Two Shoes, and those shoes are mine. They're kicking you straight in the butt cheek right now, sonny boy. But yeah. So I think that's mainly the biggest reason why I like this thing right now. And I think it'd be really funny to see when people realize how good this gun is, if the actual rates of it being used start going up. It's always funny to me to see that stuff happening where people are like, ooh, this gun is really good. And then suddenly everyone starts using it more. Like, that stuff always cracks me up. I will say too, as for actually getting this gun, you can very easily get these, by the way, just doing deep dive and salvage activities. Look at this Gathering Storm, by the way. Ooh, beautiful 3-piece, beautiful, gotta love it. But yeah, go do some deep dive or salvage activities. You can easily get keys for deep dive and salvage activities by just playing some Crucible, you know, playing any other PvE activity in the game. They'll drop for you pretty frequently, and then you can go ahead and spin those keys, and you'll get very, very frequent deep sights. So you can craft these seasonal weapons like this Rapacious Appetite right here very, very easily. Just go ahead and do the seasonal activity, guys. You'll get this thing like super quickly. I have almost all the weapons crafted for the season already just from doing those activities. I've barely even had to like focus any from the focus decoding in the helm. For the most part, I've just gotten lucky and got them from those activities. And a lot of times you can just get keys back from salvage and deep dive, like looping into each other. Because if you finish a salvage, you might get a deep dive key. And if you finish a deep dive, you might get a salvage key. So you can loop into each other a lot. You can do those activities for a long time and just get all the deep sights pretty quickly. So keep that in mind. If you really do want this gun, go ahead and get it from there. All that being said, this is the end of the video, so thank you guys so much for watching. That is it for me today. So as always, have a great day, Guardians.